Sowing carrots successfully can be difficult, with the tiny seed and the slow, erratic germination. But I'm about to show you an easy way of sowing them that guarantees success without the tedious work of thinning. I will also share with you a mouth-watering carrot amaranth taco recipe you haven't seen anywhere. I'm Siloé Oliveira, and I'm in a quest for growing easy food in my suburban homestead. You may have noticed by now how much I like the plate germination method, but as I've mentioned before, it doesn't work for roots like carrots. So I'm using a different strategy. Get a glass jar and pour some carrot seed into it. You want to put each variety in a different jar because they sprout in different times. You don't need to put too much seed. A little goes a long way. Pour a bit of water into the jar, enough to moisten the seed completely. It will make the seed swell up and break the seed coat. Close the jar lightly and put it in a warm place, like close to a heater. Check every day, opening the jar to vent it. It should sprout in 2 to 4 days if kept in a warm place. If it takes longer than that, your seed may be too old or it may be dead. As soon as you see the roots poking through, you are ready to sow them outside. Put some extra water and reserve it. To make sowing easier, you need to create a gel with cornstarch. Pour about a cup of water into a small pan. Add about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and stir. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm guesstimating here and making a mess. You don't have to. Using a whisk, completely dissolve the cornstarch into the water. It's good to work fast and vigorously to avoid lumps. Do this over high heat. As soon as the mixture starts to boil and thicken, you can turn off the heat and pour it into a bowl to let it cool. It will have turned into a slurry-like gel. You must let it cool completely before continuing. If the gel is hot, it will effectively sterilize the seed by cooking it, and you don't want that. You can help it cool down by swirling the gel around the bowl. When completely cooled, get the jar with the sprouted seed and swivel the jar so that the seed stuck to the sides is suspended in the water. Quickly pour this into the jar as the water is rotating in order to get all the seeds out. Using a spatula, gently fold the mixture over itself to completely incorporate it into the gel. The purpose of this method is to suspend the germinated seeds into the gel so that it will space them out farther apart. It is really important to be gentle at this point. You don't want to damage the root tips, causing the seed to die out. Once fully incorporated, pour the mixture into a Ziploc bag. This will act like a pastry bag used to decorate confections. Zip the top up securely and using a pair of sharp scissors, cut a corner off. I'm sowing these in early spring. In my last video on growing onions, I showed how I prepared this bed and planted onions and leek into it. I am interplanting the carrots in rows in between the onions. Make a shallow trench using a hand trowel. About a ½ inch deep or less is good enough. If it is too deep, the seed may have a hard time finding the sunlight. Carefully let the gel drip into the trench in a steady line. This should ensure that each seed is spaced a couple of inches apart. It should also avoid clumps. Cover the seeds slightly with the soil and water them well. If you've tried sowing dry carrot seeds, you have noticed they are hard to handle and space evenly due to their small size. Pre-sprouting also ensures that they germinate sooner and together. In a few months, the carrots will be ready to harvest at the same time as the onions. I like to use this method for sowing carrots mainly because I don't have to thin out seedlings. Besides being another laborious step to growing, thinning in a way feels wrong and wasteful. I know this is ridiculous, but after watching seedlings grow, I don't really want to destroy more than half of them to give others a better chance. However, it is essential that plants be properly spaced, otherwise the whole crop underproduces. I prefer just to use methods that ensure proper spacing in the beginning. It saves time later on and money, as in having to buy more seed packets. Carrots have a tendency to snap right in the middle when being harvested, especially large mature carrots. To help in harvesting, I like to use a garden fork to pry the roots up without damaging it. Even with this assistance, carrots don't always like to cooperate. Rocking them back and forth or tugging them a bit can help dislodge it from the ground. Of course, doing this when the soil is not too dry or too wet is better. Growing carrots is rather thrilling. Unlike tomatoes or lettuces, you cannot know how the carrot is developing under the ground, except from the health of the foliage. It is always a surprise at harvest time. You can be left out in the cold with tiny or severely misshapen carrots, or you become excited with nice, well-formed roots that are truly a delicious and nutritious gift from the earth. Carrots are very versatile veggies in the kitchen. This monochromatic taco recipe highlights their great flavor and color in an unexpected way. It's orange-yellow carrot and amaranth tacos. Measure a cup of dry corn masa into a bowl. You can buy masa at any Latin grocery. Add a bit of powdered turmeric into it, as well as a sprinkling of paprika. This will add extra flavor and color to the tortillas. Add salt to taste. I'm adding a teaspoon because I like a more salty tortilla. Mix the dry ingredients together until uniform. Start by preparing the soft corn tortillas to use as taco shells. Of course, you can buy store-bought, but I like to make my own. Add water slowly as you mix with a spoon. You want the dough to form a ball and be soft, but not too soft and sticky. As you mix the water in, you will see the deep orange color blooming. Use your hands to make the dough come together. Ideally, you want your masa to be a little bit softer than what I'm showing here. As I did this recipe after filming, I discovered that it's best to have the masa be softer and more moist, as long as it doesn't stick when in the tortilla press. You can adjust the masa consistency by adding water or masa flour. To form the tortillas, get a small ball and put it between two plastic sheets in the middle of the tortilla press. Press it down until you have a thin tortilla. If your masa is softer and more moist, it will press with one try. I'm having to press it twice since I'm working with less than ideal dry masa. Carefully peel the plastic from the tortilla and put it into your hand. This is easier to do with a drier masa. Place the tortilla in a cast iron skillet over mid-heat. Flip it over when the edges start to become golden brown. After a couple of minutes, it should be done. Watch it carefully so it doesn't burn. You will need popped amaranth for this recipe. To make it, heat up a stainless steel skillet with a heavy bottom over high heat. Do not add oil. Once hot, drop a bit of amaranth and cover it immediately. It's a good idea to use a glass cover so you can monitor what's happening. Start shaking the pan as the amaranth grain pops. Let the cover be slightly open so that the water vapor can escape but the grain is contained. If you feel that it is burning, take it out of the heat immediately. Put it to cool at once in a bowl. It's a good idea to start with a small batch and slowly increase as you get used to it. Reserve the popped amaranth. Finely grate the carrot into longer shreds if possible. You want it to have a nice fine texture. Put some oil into the stainless steel skillet and saute the carrots, mixing frequently with a metal spatula. Add paprika to taste and continue mixing, scraping the bottom of the pan so that the carrots don't start burning. You want the water to evaporate and to make the carrots get slightly caramelized. Add black pepper and keep on mixing. Add salt only towards the end when the carrots have cooked. Add the popped amaranth and mix with the heat turned off. To keep the color theme going, I'm using yellow tomatoes I grew to make the sauce, but you can use red ones. Put the tomato into a blender. Cut it in slices so it blends more easily. Add half of an avocado. It will add creaminess and body to the sauce. Add about a tablespoon of olive oil. You'll also need the juice of 2 limes. This will brighten up the flavor. Blend it up until smooth. Add a tablespoon of tahini and blend it well. Salt to taste. Put some of the carrot amaranth mix on the tortilla and spoon the sauce over it. Fold it and enjoy.
Leva o vento a semente, lava a luz no poente, espera a lua crescente germinar. Open the floodgates, people, wash the river, ring out the ocean, cry from the mountain steeples, a brand new day has come. From where it comes, it goes in circles, sweeping porches, quenching torches, for a new day that vows a promise, sowing freedom, vida vai recomeçar.
Join me next time for another garden adventure. Remember to send your questions and comments to seedofchoice@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to Suburban Homestead.